What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my YouTube
Welcome
channel.
back to the channel, everybody. And today we are going to see if we can finally solve the mystery of the 30-06 and the magic bullet that was used in the Charlie Kirk case. Because I've seen a lot of people talking about over the last couple weeks, when it comes to a 30-06, the grain weight matters, the type of round used matters, all these different things. But do they really? So what we're going to do is we're going to see if we can create the perfect conditions that would actually make all of this work in this video. The 30-06 used, no exit wound on Charlie, and the medical examiner report that supposedly is out there also fits. So I think you're going to like this one. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Helps the channel. Let's jump into it. Let's see if we can solve this Scooby.
In Gaza, Yemen, Syria, Pakistan.
Mystery. All right, so first, let's jump into it. Let's see if we can solve this Scooby-Doo mystery. All right, so first thing we're going to do is take a look at all the different types of 30-06 ammunition. There's a lot: military grade, commercial grade, hunting, target practice, all these different things. But first, we need to set the conditions. What is the official narrative? So yes, Charlie was hit with a 30-06 round, supposedly, according to the FBI. That left no exit wound, which we all know is very, very bizarre. And according to the medical examiner's report that Turning Point USA has put out and told people, if we remember this, yes, the man of steel neck, but the important part of this, of course, is in the end, the coroner did find the bullet just beneath the skin. Turning Point USA also told Stephen Gardner that the round came in, impacted the C2, traveled down through all the vertebrae, and then lodged just above the T1. That's very, very important if we're going to make some type of situation work to understand that, okay? All right, so let's talk about rounds first, and we'll get into grain weights and some other different things, see if we can get a combination of all these things to make it work. But first, of course, your full metal jacket, 30-06 round, your standard round. All right, your typical 30-06 round here. It's typically going to be used for target shooting, practice, things like that. You definitely can use it for hunting if you needed to. But yeah, this is a round that's just, again, designed to enter the body, mushroom out, create damage, and would be one you would likely find in the event, like if you were to shoot a moose or something like that, and it came off the moose's scapula or something like that, you would actually find the entire round still in the body, rather than having it fragment all over the place or disintegrate like some of the rounds we're going to talk about next. All right, next is your soft point round. I've seen some people think this could be the answer. I got a whole bunch of them right here. This is actually your typical hunting round that you're going to use, okay? So soft point rounds is actually probably the least likely of the rounds to be used to have not caused any extra damage or no exit wound or things like that, and here's why. All right, so what a soft point round does, it's actually designed to create an even bigger mushroom on that round to create even more damage, and even bigger exit wound would be expected, right? So it says here, first, it enables the bullet to carve a slightly wider entry wound into the animal. Second, it physically secures the copper alloy jacket to its solid core, so it's going to stay together. It's not going to fragment all over the place. And once the soft point's tip meets the resistance from soft tissue, it flattens down to inflict a wound column significantly wider than a 308 or a regular full metal jacket round. Okay, so those are the two easy that we can throw out first. The likelihood of a soft points tip meets the resistance from soft tissue, secures the copper alloy, a slightly wider entry wound into the animal. Second, it physically secures the copper alloy jacket to its solid core, so it's going to stay together. It's not going to fragment all over the place. And once the soft points tip meets the resistance from soft tissue, it flattens down to inflict a wound column significantly wider than a 308 or a regular full metal jacket round. Okay, so those are the two easy that we can throw out first. The likelihood of a full metal jacket round, soft point round, regular round at a normal grain weight, hitting Charlie Kirk from 140 yards and creating no exit wound, basically impossible. All right, then you have ballistic tip hunting ammunition, as we'll see here. All right, so it says here, the 180 grain aerodynamic ballistic tip is designed to produce strong expansion with a heavy jacketed base that helps push the tip into a familiar mushroom shape. This is another round that would have just literally blown right through Charlie's neck. But now that we've kind of got past those standard hunting rounds, now we're going to get into some niche rounds where there may be a possibility to create no exit wound. Let's check this out. All All right, so the frangible round, as it says here, the high-density frangible bullet has tremendous centrifugal force when entering the animal, and upon penetration, the core turns into powder in its original composition. So essentially, what frangible rounds are designed to do is once they enter and they impact something very, very hard, they basically are just going to disintegrate, right? The idea behind that is, let's say you're going to go out target shooting and you're shooting steel and you don't want, you know, those bullets flying off the steel, maybe different directions or towards your neighbor's house, whatever. That round, when it hits that steel, it's just going to disintegrate into nothing, which would kind of be the idea if it hit something really hard, like hard bone, okay, it potentially wouldn't create any exit wound. So you might think, oh, there it is. We solved it. It was a frangible round. But what's the problem with the frangible round idea? Well, it's this. All right, and here's where the frangible round theory kind of gets thrown out with the bathwater. And that's, of course, because of Turning Point USA, who's put out this information that a bullet was found that came in, according to, again, Turning Point USA, who I would assume isn't going to lie about this, that bullet came in, hit the C2, crashed through all of these vertebrae and then lodged into the body here. And that bullet was completely found here. Well, like we just saw on the description of the ammo, the frangible round is designed to essentially disintegrate when it hits something hard. What a frangible round is not going to do is hit this neck vertebrae, blast through 6 more vertebrae all the way down here, and then just be fully intact. It would have already disintegrated essentially into the body or fragmented all over the place. So if it is true that this round, again, hit a neck and crashed through a bunch of bone and the whole thing lodged completely intact inside Charlie's body, it could not have been a frangible round. All right, the next one's very, very interesting. I've seen some people start to talk about this, and that is the idea it may have been a 30-06 safety slug. Let's take a look at this one. All right, so yes, the safety slug. This one's very, very interesting, okay? As you can see here, a little bit lower grain weight, but the entire idea of this round is it's basically an urban combat round, so it's designed to not penetrate through hard things, like walls or different things like that to hit innocent bystanders. So, that's very interesting. Could that explain the wound to Charlie? Well, as you can see in the description here, the numerous projectiles dispersed outward, generating an effective wound cavity. This load reduces the possibility of overpenetration, okay, through the intended target. It provides for an added margin of safety. A missed round is much more likely to break up on an interior wall and dump its energy rather than proceeding unabated into an adjoining room or injuring innocent bystanders. Oh, that sounds like we nailed it. This has got to be the round, right? Well, here's the problem we run into here with this one. What this round basically has is essentially a tiny little bird shot that's underneath the round. And the same thing as the frangible round, what's going to happen is when this round enters and hits something hard and starts to fragment and explode, it's going to leave all that little bird shot everywhere. But also, it's not going to do what we just showed, right? It's not going to blast through a bunch of bone and then crash through all this other bone and then leave an entire bullet sitting in Charlie's body. So again, if this medical examiner's report is true and there is a bullet found, this becomes an impossible round as well. All right, guys, if your body is beat up like mine, you're looking for some better injury recovery, there's nothing better than stem cells for the body. The problem is insanely expensive, but our partners at Black Forest Supplements have got a new product.
So studies have been done
that actually increase your natural stem cell production.
So studies have been done to show that the flavonols in cocoa stimulate stem stream, and they'll fix it.
Improve knowledge.
It's kind of like this regenerate. They can do
cells. Amazing. Get one free with my link. All right, so link in the pinned comment description. Go grab yourself some cocoa flavonoids. All right, so there's all the likely and honestly unlikely rounds potentially that could be used. And if we look at everything, all right, so the 30-06 used, no exit wound, and TPUSA's claims that the bullet is lodged somewhere in Charlie. Do any of those potentially work as in like factory straight out of the box? No, they don't, right? The FMJ is not going to work. The soft point, those are going to go right through. The other rounds, the frangible rounds, the glass or slug rounds, those would not have left an intact bullet in the body, right? So none of those work all the way together. But what you also have probably seen a lot of is, well, it was Grandpappy's reloaded low-grain reload ammo. So let's take a look if that's an actual possibility.
My work is easy because I use ClickUp. Here's how I keep track of everything I need to get done in a list.
Reload ammo. So let's take a look if that's an actual possibility. All right, so let's jump into the math. First thing we got to understand is that almost all factory ammunition for 30-06 you're going to buy is going to come in grain weight from around 150 to 220. Typically, a lot of hunters are going to use something like 170 grain. That would be pretty common. So that's what we used here, all right? So what this math shows is what will be the foot-pound force, so the force on impact into Charlie, not when it's leaving the gun, at 140 yards, because that's what the FBI, that's the distance they said the shot was from, for each of these, okay? And so what we did is we used 170 grain, pretty average, compared to 100 grain. That would be an almost 42% reduction in grain weight. So I have no idea why you would purposefully load this low of grain into your ammunition, but just for, you know, hypothetical sake, let's say we did this, all right? And you might find this interesting, okay? All right, so the 100 grain, okay, it's going to leave the muzzle at about 3,300 feet per second. It's actually higher because there's less weight to it as it leaves the muzzle, but keep in mind, because of the much less grain, it's going to quickly reduce in velocity compared to the 170 grain. But that doesn't really matter. What matters is what is the foot-pound force on the impact when it hit Charlie. And as you can see here, all right, 100 grain at 140 yards. The kinetic energy when it hits Charlie, 2,047 feet-pounds, okay? Compared to your typical 170 grain at 140 yards, excuse me, you're going to have a kinetic energy of about 2,432 feet-pounds. So the point being here is that, yes, it's less. It's about 400 feet-pounds less. 100 grain 30-06 round is still hitting Charlie Kirk's necks with 2,047 feet-pounds. That is still, with a full metal jacket round, soft point, is going to, again, blow right through Charlie Kirk's neck. That's not a reduction of enough kinetic energy to really make any difference on Charlie Kirk's, you know, little human neck and a neck vertebrae. So with low grain reloaded ammo, and you purposely put, you know, 40% less grain in, and again, I don't know why you would do this, maybe like a mistake, still is going to go right through Charlie Kirk, even with that. All right, next, I see people talking about, oh, well, it was a subsonic 30-06 round. First, I don't think that is true, because from the sound of the shot, it does sound like a supersonic round. But people have said, well, you got to lower the grain weight so much to make it subsonic. You don't make a 30-06 round subsonic by controlling the grain weight. You have to control the muzzle velocity. And I don't think you could even load low enough grain weight for the gun to fire correctly, which would bring us into the possibility of something like a squib or some type of massive malfunction of the round. All right, and if you have that massive of a malfunction, the gun's not even going to fire right correctly anyway. So that doesn't really make sense. All right, but what if we use a combination of both? Can we use Grandpappy's old reloaded ammo that we loaded in super low grain for whatever reason, I don't know, and a specific round type that would not leave an exit wound? I think possibly. I think probably yes. What would that be? Well, Grandpappy's old reloaded ammo, 90, 100 grain with a frangible round tip. Now, all of a sudden, we're in potential possibilities of a type of round that we would have seen actually hit Charlie and not create an exit wound. There is real possibility in that. But what's the problem? That round would disintegrate. There would be no round found in Charlie Kirk's body for the most part, other than some tiny little fragmentation. So if the official autopsy comes out and says there isn't really a bullet found and there's just some fragments, okay, now we're in the realms of possibility, okay? But that would make Turning Point USA liars, specifically lying about this ahead of time, and things start to get very, very bizarre if that's the case. So, in result, and this is going to be the culmination of our findings, and again, kind of just my opinions, I guess, looking at this, is there some type of combination and situation where, this is what we set out to do at the start of the video, we could find 30-06 was used, no exit wound was produced, and an entire round was found inside Charlie Kirk's body? No, I can't make it work. I have to change what we know about the medical examiner's report. I have to not have a round be inside his body. I have to have a different gun used. I've got to change things to make it work. Just what we know with the official narrative, 30-06, all the different combinations with the medical examiner's report, no exit wound. I personally can't make it work. Maybe somebody smarter than me can, but it's going to be interesting to see what the court findings show, because, yeah, if there's an autopsy report that says there's a 30-06 full metal jacket round sitting in Charlie Kirk's neck, yeah, that's going to be a real tough sell. We're talking about a Powerball's chance if, yeah, full metal jacket rounds show because, yeah, if there's an autopsy report that says there's a 30-06 Full Metal Jacket round sitting in Charlie Kirk's neck, yeah, that's going to be a real tough sell. We're talking about a Powerball's chance, if that. So, yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. Wanted to do this one for you. I didn't see anybody who's completely tried to deep dive the 30-06 possibilities, but yeah, that's where I'm at. Unfortunately for you guys, no, I could not solve the 30-06 mystery. So, just going to do it for this one. Catch you on the next one.
All right, guys. So, do you have any opinion on this video? If yes, make sure to let me know down in the comment section. And I would like to know if you have any other videos that you want me to react to. By the way, I just released a new song. It's called Quick Producer. I would like to give you a snippet. Right here.
3, 2, 1,
I'm going to be starting from the beginning, okay? The first part. Now I'm going to jump to Fable Humanitarian. Okay, this one I'm going to show you the front part, okay? Alright, that's it for today. Make sure to comment below, share, like and subscribe, and I'll be reacting to more videos for you. And I'll see you guys in the next one. As always, peace out. God bless you all, Jesus bless you all, and pray the rosary. Amen.